trust. So I remember I came in from running errands and I got into the office. No, I got to my house and then I started getting text messages from certain employees at this business that I was running. I had a small business with about 12 employees, and all of them, um, well, not all of them, but many of them were asking me questions about a new procedure that I had just announced. And well, as it turned out, my director, who worked directly under me to run this establishment, was starting a coup. And so, if you don't know what that is, it was a rebellion, essentially. Well, that's how I took it anyway. And she was whipping up the employees, getting them all in a fervor about this new procedure and saying we shouldn't have to follow this new procedure. It was unfair and so on and so forth, or maybe that I had bad motives or whatever it was. And this was kind of like instigated by one of her friends who was not a prize employee, but worked there kind of on a part-time basis, who had her trust issues. And so for whatever reason, they decided that they were going to band together and not go with the procedure that I had instituted for everyone to go by. And as a result, now I got this like mini rebellion on my hands with these employees, and the person that I entrusted to be in charge was leading this rebellion and getting people to go against my procedure. So I sat down to talk to this employee after I kind of got things sorted out, and I went to the employees. I must have went to them individually and explained to them where I was coming from, what we are doing, and I got them to like figure it out and get it back on the right side and to not be manipulated by this manipulator that they were following. And then I sat down with the employee who had done the bad thing. Again, she was the director of the establishment. Her job was to handle things while I was gone, but instead she had turned everyone against me. This was a betrayal of trust. And so the way I handled it really surprised her. And it surprises many people um, because I made a decision to restore the trust that she had broken. Uh, Instead of deciding that I would not trust her anymore with anything, I said, I'm actually going to restore your trust at this time. And I'd like to explain to you why that is. But we need to understand some things about trust. First of all, what is trust exactly? And why is it so hard to restore trust when trust has been broken, especially for trauma survivors? So think about yourself as a trauma survivor, what you've been through in your life, what you've had to overcome in your life. And the reality is that the first thing that goes when there's trauma is trust. Trauma just destroys trust. It makes it impossible to feel safe again. At least it can feel that way. When we experience a trauma, we're experiencing a violation of our values. We're experiencing a violation of what we hold to be important, what we hold to be true, what we hold to be sacred. And to see how bad people can be, it stumbles us, it changes us. To see how far someone will go to harm or to take advantage or to abuse their power, it scars us. And so trauma inherently ruins trust because all trauma is a betrayal of trust. Many of our traumas come from some type of abuse or some type of abandonment. But not all trauma is abuse. Sometimes you can just be traumatized by not getting what you needed from a sick parent. You can be traumatized by experiencing something that was an accident, like a car accident. But whatever the case, it ruins your trust. It shatters the illusion of stability in your life. And so it makes it difficult to now go through life trusting people when you've been traumatized, when you've had someone that you loved, that you trusted more than anyone else, betray you. So, how do we restore trust when our trust has been betrayed, when it's been broken, when we've been violated, traumatized? Well, we can't get to that point without understanding what trust actually is, and most people don't have a clear understanding of what trust is. Again, this discussion is coming from this book here, Mind. You can get it on Amazon if you don't already have a copy. If you have your copy, we're in chapter 22 on page about 200, talking about what trust is and how we allow ourselves to do it. So, the very common viewpoint on trust is that trust is a feeling that you have for people who are worthy of you having that feeling for them, right? That's how most people look at it. Trust is, I feel trust when someone is worth getting my trust. Then I feel the trust. But you see how that understanding takes you a little bit out of control in the matter? When you believe that it's just a feeling, then you believe that it's an involuntary reaction. Like when you stick your finger down your throat and it makes you want to gag and vomit. That's what people think that trust is. They think, well, when someone does something to me, then I lose trust. And then when they're doing good, then I feel the trust. But trust is not just a simple feeling. That's a misunderstanding of trust. And if you understand trust like that, you're always going to be in the traumatized state. You're never going to get to a point where you can trust again and become untraumatized. So trust is not just a feeling, and it doesn't just go to those who deserve it. So in order to understand trust, we have to understand that it's not some mystical emotion that washes down over you. It's much deeper than that. Trust is the currency of a relationship. You see, without trust, there can be no relationship. So when you say, well, I don't trust him anymore, and you're talking about your spouse, your mate, well, you've decided there's no relationship anymore. So maybe what you mean is that you've lost some trust for that person, but to the extent that you've lost trust for the person is the extent to which you've lost your relationship with them. So if you lost a little trust for someone, you lose a little of the relationship. If you lose a lot of trust for someone, you lose a lot of the relationship. Every single relationship requires trust. Without trust, there is no relationship. It doesn't exist. So even when you go to the store on the corner of your block and you're just buying a stick of gum, there's some sort of trust there to have that transaction, to have that relationship with the merchant, some kind of trust that you're going to be able to give them the money and they're going to give you the good. You have to have some type of trust to do any type of transaction, to have any type of relationship. There's always trust there. And so we might feel frightened, we might feel afraid, but you're still exercising trust in the grocer when you buy your groceries, in the restaurant that you eat at. You're still exercising trust with the banker that you give your money to. Can you see how if you removed your trust completely, if you really decided, I don't trust the grocer, I don't trust the restaurant, I don't trust the banker, can you see how that actually makes it so you can't have any relationships or transactions with them? So no trust, no relationship. But what is trust? In reality, trust is a choice. Trust is a choice. It is actually in your control to trust. You can decide if you give trust to a person or if you withhold trust from a person. It's up to you to decide that. It is not just a feeling that has to wash over you. You have to feel it. You have to be in the moment. No. You can actually decide intellectually, should I give this person my trust? In fact, the decision is best made intellectually. But too often as trauma survivors, we're not in the intellectual mind, are we? We're in the trauma-based amygdala, the subconscious mind, which is just respond, react, right? On automated autopilot, which puts you into fight and flight and freeze and fawn. And so you don't operate in a trust mindset. You don't operate in an intellectual, strategic mindset. So you can't decide whether or not you would give someone trust because you didn't even know that was a decision because you're not even aware of what your decisions are because you're too busy reacting, reacting, reacting. And so what's the easiest way to keep yourself safe? Withhold trust. If I just pull back my trust, if I just don't trust anyone, then I can stay safe. It's the simplest trauma response. It's fear. The simplest trauma response is fear, to remove trust. So we don't even realize that we're the ones who are making the decision. We say, I can't trust you anymore because of what you did. I can't. Powerlessness. We don't even realize we're doing it. We don't even realize we're being powerless in our mindset and in what we're saying. Because it just seems so true. It just seems so real and automatic. It seems so impossible. Like, how in the world would we possibly have trust for someone when they did something wrong and they hurt us and they violated us? Well, because it is a choice. But if you never take a moment to get into the intellectual part of your mind, you never wake up the cerebral cortex and you never stop to think, and you don't get into the 4Ds. Do you remember the 4Ds? To stay out of fight, flight, freeze, fawn. 4Ds are discussion, deliberation, deference, disconnection. They're balanced ways of handling situations. What I realized when the director of my business had betrayed me is I needed to approach it with balance and wisdom. So I thought about discussion. That would mean that I would have to speak to this person. I used deliberation, which meant that I would think about things. Deference, which means that I will be able to handle the matter in a way that is yielding to the other person, that shows importance to the other person in a balanced manner. And disconnection, which means I will remove my emotions. I will disconnect emotionally from this. So instead of taking it personally and being angry, I simply handled it strategically. Well, if all of the employees had a problem, there's only 12 of them, I'll talk to them myself. This is apparently the director has corrupted their minds with some weird way of thinking. So I went in, spoke to each of the employees myself, and it yielded a good result, created understanding. And most of them changed their mind to join my side in this rebellion. And now all I had to deal with was the director. When she had realized that she had lost her foothold and turning everyone against me, she was quaking in her boots. So when I had her come in for the meeting with me, she immediately offered an apology. She was certainly scared because, well, there's a good chance that she was going to get fired for what she had done. But I didn't have the intention of firing her. I saw the situation differently because I'd used my analytical mind. Although she had betrayed the trust, this could be an opportunity for me to establish an even deeper bond with this person. And so I explained to her very clearly what it was she did wrong and why it was wrong. And then I used a skill of assertiveness, which is to share vulnerable emotion. I believe it might be a skill of evading an argument. But anyway, it's an EAR technique, which is also discussed in the book. And so I said, what you did embarrassed me. And I think that hit her deep. Said that caused me embarrassment. And I asked her to share with me her thoughts and feelings about the situation so that she could speak up for herself, for what she wanted me to know, why she did what she did. And then I asked her to leave the room while I thought about things, how I'd handle it. So she left my office and I thought, I meditated, deliberation. And then I asked her to come back in. And I said, I appreciate you expressing where you were coming from, and I appreciate your apology. Even though what you did was an offense that you could be terminated for, I feel that that's not the best case in this scenario. So I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to restore the trust. I'm going to completely make the decision to trust you again, completely, not a little bit, not tentatively, not on a probationary basis. I am going to completely trust you just like I did before this all happened. So you're going to have still the same assignment here, all the same authority that you had. And I'm going to let you handle business the way that I believe you truly can. There will be a penalty to pay, of course. And I explained what the penalty was, but I restored that trust. Her reaction was one of gratitude. Gratitude is a precursor for happiness. For her, being a more grateful employee made her a more happy employee, which made her a more productive employee, which deepened our bond and deepened my trust because she did even better work. I felt like I could trust her even more because she felt like she had even more to lose because now she could really feel viscerally the value of the trust that I had given her. This is trusting by choice. There's nothing in me that felt like she deserved to be trusted. But maybe this was one of the only times in her life that someone chose to trust her. Trust is something that you can restore by choice to your children, to your employees, to your coworkers, not because they deserve it when they mess up, but because it's mutually beneficial when you analyze things in some cases. Sometimes when you analyze things, you realize that it will be better for them and better for me if I were to restore trust. I don't have to spend time and resources watching this person, this employee. I don't have to take away their power, which means that I have to take all that responsibility back onto my shoulders. And it's beneficial for them because they may learn from the situation. You talk about raising your children in an environment where you teach them that they can't be trusted isn't going to help. And so one of the mistakes my parents made, and they weren't bad parents, but when I started lying around 6 years old to escape the beatings, and my mom caught me in my lies, because it'd be like, Roman, do you have homework? And I'd be like, no. And I did, but I just would lie, and then I would get out of it or whatever. And so once they caught me in the lies, and my mom said to me, she goes, now I can't trust you. She said, you're going to have to earn my trust back. That might not seem like terrible parenting, but here's the problem. The day never came. There never came a day when I turned 7, when I turned 8, when I turned 9. There wasn't a day where my parents came in and said, Roman, you have earned our trust back. We've decided from now on we trust you. Remember that time when we talked to you when you were 6 years old and we took away the trust? We're giving you the trust back because you have earned it back. It just left me feeling untrusted. And that wasn't in any way helpful to my relationship with my parents. And it wasn't helpful for them to be able to teach me lessons. So it's not to say a child shouldn't pay a penalty for betraying trust, but removing trust removes the relationship. So sometimes it's appropriate to say to someone, you have a penalty to pay. You're in trouble, buddy, for what you did because you lied. But I believe you can do better. So I'm going to trust you again, but I would ask that you don't lie again. As a result of just not feeling trusted, I went on to lie through the rest of my childhood. I had to get over it myself. I had to learn how to not be a liar when I was a teenager. And what helped me was my religious studies to learn to not lie. You know, it was my spirituality, but it wasn't my parents. And my parents missed an opportunity. They could have taught me to not be a liar when I was young, but the tactic, although it seems logical, it seems natural. And again, it's not to say they were bad parents. It's just that sometimes we don't realize that we can operate in the 4Ds in a balanced manner. And we feel like we need to take an extreme action or we need to go with the emotion or the feelings. We think that someone has to earn our trust, but if you say that, then that's fine because you're the king or queen of the trust. You're the one who decided they have to earn your trust. It's not that it's literally up to them. Your trust isn't up to them. You're giving them all the power, and that doesn't make any sense because they don't actually have the power. How am I going to make you trust me? That's impossible. You will decide to trust me if you want to trust me and when you want to trust me. Does that make sense? Am I being clear in this? It is not really possible for me to earn your trust. Even though we say that, even though we think like that, that's not actually how it works. Can you tell someone that they have to do something to earn it? Well, yes, because this comes down to your own standards and boundaries. So you can say anything you want. You can say, give me $20 and then I'll trust you again. It's your trust. So you get to decide how and when someone earns that trust. It's up to you, but it's not up to them. Does that mean we should just go around trusting everyone and restoring trust with people who don't deserve it? Well, that doesn't sound like a very analytical way of handling things. Let's analyze each situation according to the situation itself. Let's analyze every individual situation and not take an extreme approach. Because some people say, I can't trust anyone. That would be an extreme approach. That's being traumatized. That's living in a trauma mindset. So now you go through life being traumatized. And how is that going to get you what you need in life? All relationships ruined because you can't trust anyone. On the other hand, we don't want to just walk around saying, oh, I trust everyone all the time. So that if someone slaps you, you're like, do it again. At a certain point, we need to be able to learn, right, what to expect from a person or what is their general pattern and adjust accordingly. So it's not wrong when someone shows you that they are abusive, when someone betrays you. It's not wrong to decide that you will not trust them anymore. Just understand the cost that comes with it. Because when you decide not to trust them, you are deciding the relationship is over. Understand the cost that comes with your decision not to trust. It's up to you. It's your choice. But understand the costs. And that's fine. You can decide at any time that you won't trust someone. That's fine. But just understand the costs. Once you decide, I will not trust you, then the relationship is over. If you say, I'm not going to trust you a little bit, then the relationship is over only to that degree that you don't trust them. So you might say with someone, I'm your brother comes over the house, you say, I trust you in my house, but I'm not going to loan money to you. Okay, that's fine. Then to that degree, you still have a relationship, the degree to which he can be in your house. But you have no relationship when it comes to finances because you don't trust him. That's how it works. So understand when you remove trust, you're removing relationship. And that's not going to be a good formula for your marriage. So if you're trying to do this in a romantic relationship, you might as well say your goodbyes now. It's over. In a romantic relationship, I can't trust you. Well, Start packing your bags. It's done. Once you decide that, you're not going to be able to be intimate with the person anymore. Once you decide that you can't trust them, meaning you won't trust them, then it's over. So analyze for sure if you want to do that. If you decide that the relationship is too valuable to let go, then you have to decide to restore trust. The trauma is making it hard for us because the trauma causes us to become hypervigilant. We feel like that's a way to protect ourselves. The trauma is causing us to feel like we have to do everything based on fear. But that's not true. You want your number one motivation in life to be love and dreams. Love and dreams. When I talk about dreams, I'm talking about purpose, your vision, your goals of the future. That's what you want to be driven by. And love. When it comes to your child, you're going to restore trust back to the child. You teach them the lesson, you guide them, you explain to them. You may have to give some discipline. But because of love, you're going to trust again. With my employee, I chose to restore the trust because I had dreams. One of my dreams was not to be sitting here being the director of my own company. I want to be out doing other things. And so if I want this person to be the director, which I did, I believe she had the potential. Then I chose to restore the trust. She had never had anyone handle a situation like that with her before. As a result, our relationship flourished. Down to this day, we still get along because I didn't remove the trust, and I never had to remove the trust from her again. So do consider your stance and your viewpoint when it comes to this subject of trust. Am I just responding out of fear, or have I taken the time to deliberate before removing trust? Do I understand that I can remove it in gradual pieces and components, or am I black and white, 100% in, 100% out? Black and white thinking, dichotomous thinking, all of that is trauma response, is cognitive distortion. Cut that out. Now we think. No more being in the traumatized mind. Now we analyze, we deliberate, we discuss, and ultimately we make decisions that are going to be the best for us, the best for our relationships, the best for our mental health and our well-being.